I am Megan, and Happy New Year! It is now 2026. Apologies that there hasn't been a video in quite a while. The festive season kind of tired me out, so I did have to have a rest for a while. But while the review for Avatar Fire and Ash, I'm hoping is going to happen this week. I do want to go and see it this week. I thought it would be fun to start off the year looking back at the past year and actually saying what my favourite films were. I do have a couple of other films that I want to talk about that aren't going to be in my list of favourite films, but I did this kind of thing last year, and this isn't going to be like a top 5 or top 10 kind of thing. This is just going to be me listing off my favourite films from the past year and what I liked about them. I will also say, if I look down occasionally, it's because I've got my phone. It's got the films listed just so I can bounce off the notes on my phone. So the first film I'm going to bring up pretty much came out at the beginning of the year for the UK, or in like the first quarter of the year, but America had already had it tail end of the last year. But I'm going off UK release here, so this is going to be included, which is Flow. So Flow is an animated film completely made in Blender. There's no human actors, and it follows a cat and a group of animals as they explore a flooded post-apocalyptic world. And at the time that this got a very, very limited release in cinemas in the UK, it had, I think, just won or was just about to win the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. It ended up becoming the first Latvian film to win an Oscar. I loved this film so much. I get why some people didn't like it. It is very slow. It's very one kind of concept thing. But what I loved was, one, the animals, the animation and the relationship between the animals, and just the exploration and the world building of this post-apocalyptic world. You know, everywhere is completely flooded. You don't realise how high the water is until a certain scene. By the way, I'm not going to spoil any of these films, so don't worry about that. But yeah, I just thought this was a really, really beautiful film, and very simple in terms of how it was made. There's no human voice actors in it at all. Like I said, it is animal noises and sounds, which I'm really glad they didn't go for that Pixar direction where the animals talk. I'm really, really glad they didn't go for that, and I think it works out better for it. I think all of my favourite films for this year I've actually done reviews on, which does include this next one. Some would believe a man can fly. I believe I can become a Superman fan. Superman was incredible. This was done by James Gunn, so he wrote and directed the film, and yeah, after seeing this, I'm very excited for the future of DC films. I'm very interested to see what it's going to be like. And yeah, this was just a wonderful, wonderful film. Superman is delightful, and he's supposed to be the beacon of hope, which he is. Now granted, I do kind of enjoy the Zack Snyder films, New Man of Steel, Justice League, the Zack Snyder version I enjoy, and Batman vs Superman. Less said about that one the better, to be honest, but I do enjoy Man of Steel. Granted, I don't think it's a good portrayal of Superman, but Superman 2025 was perfect. Lex Luthor was fantastic. That was a really, really interesting portrayal of him as well, because you understood his angle, but still also understood how villainous he was, especially later on in the film. It also comments on social media and trolls and world politics of stuff that's currently happening in the world, in the real world. And yeah, it was just amazing. It was also very colourful and vibrant. Again, juxtapositioning Man of Steel. So yeah, this was incredible. And I definitely came out of the cinema going, okay, maybe I do like Superman after all. Again, sticking with the more light-hearted stuff, to an extent, KPopDemonHunters was huge this year. I was very late to seeing this. I think I was quite busy when this got put onto Netflix. I just want to bring up, if you can hear a whistling, I do apologise, my radiator's just switched on. I'll see if I can edit that or something. The KPopDemonHunters was huge. Yeah, I was quite busy when this came onto Netflix, so I unfortunately missed the original hype. So by the time I had watched it, the hype had slightly died down. And then View Cinemas announced that they were going to do a sing-along screening. I was in London at the time, so I went to the London screening. And I think not just is this an incredible film, incredibly animated, the story is really interesting and very unique as well, but yeah, it's an incredible story, fantastic animation. The songs and the soundtrack, I immediately bought it the moment it got released on physical release, because wow, I don't think there's actually a bad song in that film at all. And I'm not really much of a K-pop fan, it's just not been on my radar. But after this film, I do wonder if it's actually got more people interested in K-pop after this. I do think it probably has done, because I definitely got interested in it afterwards. Yeah, this was delightful. There's a reason it became, at the time that this got released, there's a reason it became Netflix's biggest film. The sing-along screening was really, really fun as well. And yeah, this was incredible. Again, I've done a review on this one as well. So I kind of did the light-hearted ones first, because the last two are horror films. So, Final Destination Bloodlines. This was the first Final Destination film in about 14-15 years. And I was so excited for this. I was super excited for this. Final Destination is one of my favourite horror franchises. So yeah, I was excited, but I was worried with the amount of time that it's been. I was wondering how they were going to do this, if it was going to be any good, and it exceeded my expectations. This was fantastic. Yes, I have a couple of problems with it. I did a spoiler video on this as well as a regular review, because I went to a double screening for this, which was doubled with the first film, which I even said in the non-spoiler review, I think that was actually perfect, not just to see the first film to the last film and to see how much effects and visual effects and storytelling has improved and everything, but I think there's a lot of themes in Bloodlines that actually work really well and connect with the first film. Not just with the general premise though, without going into spoilers. The deaths were incredible, the MRI machine is still talked about, and that's one that, yeah, has hit me personally. That was definitely one that got me personally, with my medical history and my disability. Yeah, that's not fair. But I think also, this really proves that you can do a legacy sequel. Aside from one character that does come back, you can do a legacy sequel with completely original characters and still make it work. Granted, yes, the late Tony Todd, rest in peace, he was amazing in this as well. But yeah, I think this does prove that you can do a legacy sequel without bringing all the original characters back. You don't have to do that, actually. You can maybe bring back like one or two and still do a completely original story. Granted, again, with the same concept that all of these films have, but this really showed that you can do something different with that same concept. And then the last one, I'm actually wearing a hoodie from the games of this one. This was actually a very recent review I did, but I loved this. I get why people didn't like it. I really enjoyed this. Granted, I had a couple of problems with it. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I have to mention. I am a huge fan of these games. I actually really enjoyed the first film. Again, granted, I get the criticisms, and this was kind of similar. I came out of this film really enjoying it. I thought it was better than the first film. It actually felt like a horror film. Granted, like a teen horror film, but it really felt like a horror film. The jump scares got me. I thought there were some really interesting ones in here, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I actually got halfway through the film and was like, I'm actually having fun here, which I think is really important with any kind of film. Like, yes, you can have thought-provoking films or, you know, ones that tug on your heartstrings, but you also need to remember that films, they can just be fun and entertaining, and I think that's also what's really important. And that's actually one of the main reasons why I did put this on this list, because I think it is important to remember that film is, and even TV shows, are there for entertainment purposes. And yeah, like I said, you can have thought-provoking stories, you can have ones that tug on your heartstrings, but you can also have ones that are just popcorn films and are just fun and a bit silly. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. The last two I do want to mention, and these aren't going to be on the list because While I enjoyed them, I wouldn't put them as my favourite of this year, but I think they are worth mentioning just to finish this video off. So Marvel's Thunderbolts, which came out around the summer, just the beginning of the summertime. I, at that time, was not interested in Marvel. I'd kind of gotten bored, and even the Avengers Doomsday full trailer has actually just come out at the time of filming this. I have no interest. I am not interested in this at all. I'm not going to do a trailer talk on that one, I apologise, because I have nothing to say than what I've already said in the previous trailer talk. But Marvel's Thunderbolts actually really surprised me, especially since I didn't watch Black Widow, because again, this was at a point where I was starting to lose interest. And I thought this was a very big surprise. I thought the cast had fantastic chemistry, but it also tapped into some really serious topics about mental health, and did really well with portraying that and weaving it into the story that they wanted to tell. I thought they did that actually really, really well, because if you fail that, that can be really bad, and that can really ruin your film. But I actually thought Marvel's Thunderbolts did really well with that, and it's also funny. And while yes, this does also hit the thought-provoking aspect that I was talking about, it's fun. This is a fun film. It's funny. The cast was fantastic, and there was some really good humour in this. David Harbour as Red Guardian is fantastic, but Lawrence Pugh as well as the Yelena. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I thought she was fantastic as well. So yeah, this was just a really, really big surprise for me. I really went into this thinking, okay, I'll go see this because a friend told me to go see it, but I'm not really that interested. And then I came out of it going, you know what? You know what? Maybe I am excited for Marvel films, especially after I'd already seen Captain America Brave New World, which again, I enjoyed, but I had a ton of problems with, like everyone else. So I didn't have much hopes for this one, but I actually really enjoyed it. And then the other one I want to talk about, just because I think it was an interesting discussion that I ended up having in that video, is Until Dawn. So this was the adaptation of the horror video game, and while I enjoyed it and I thought it was a good film, I did end up talking about, well, does that mean it's a good adaptation? And this is kind of a conversation that's happening actually with Five Nights at Freddy's 2 about whether it is a good adaptation or not. And I think this also comes into that conversation as well, where as I was talking about it and talking about what I did and didn't like about Until Dawn, I realised that no, it's not actually a good adaptation at all. It doesn't really represent the game very well. Yes, you have a couple of references at the end, but it's not the best representation and adaptation of the source material. I did see someone, I can't remember where it was, on social media somewhere, at one point mention that it seemed more of a Dead by Daylight film than Until Dawn, which actually I completely agree with. Once they said that, I saw it. And it's interesting because I think Blumhouse have the film rights for Dead by Daylight. And they are currently, I think it's in pre-production at the moment, the adaptation for that. But I feel like they don't need to do it. I feel like they don't need to make one, because one already exists. It's called Until Dawn. But yeah, that was like a light bulb when I saw that comment, because it makes a lot more sense if you view it in that way. But I wanted to bring that one up as well, because I thought it was an interesting topic to bring up. Of yes, I thought it was a good film, or at least an enjoyable film, but I don't think it was a good adaptation, and there's a difference. So apologies if you can hear outside, there's fireworks going off, but yeah, this was my list of my favourite films from 2025. If I haven't mentioned something, it means I probably didn't get to go see it or something for whatever reason. I know Sinners was a really big one. Unfortunately, I was unwell during that cinema release, and actually it wasn't in my local cinema for a very long time, so I didn't really get a chance to go see it, unfortunately. That is one that I do want to do a review on, because I want to watch it. I really want to see it. My dad's just watched it and told me to watch it, so I really want to go see that one as well. And I know there was a few others that you're probably thinking, wait, why didn't you see that? I apologise in advance, but also this obviously is my own list of the ones that I liked and enjoyed. And yeah, if I didn't put them on the list, it means either I didn't enjoy them enough to put them on here, or I didn't get to see them, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, I just thought this would be a fun way to start off the new year. Yeah, I am going to try and see Avatar Fire of Ash this week. We'll see how that goes. There's not many screenings for it in the IMAX cinema because of how long it is, so we'll see how that goes. But I was Megan, this is Battle Royale with Cheese. See you soon.